it would almost be embarrassing to try to introduce myself after Iris's beautiful words. I recommend as an evolutionary experience for everybody, two things. One, to have a group of people write about you. Because when you read what they write about you, you are probably going to discover a lot of things about yourself. At least that's what happened to me when I read the introduction that was written about me. I was halfway between embarrassed, tearful, and is that really me that they're talking about? Kind of, huh? What? And then the other experience that nobody should ever miss is speaking to a group of people and having one of your best friends introduce you. Because the levels of support that go into your body are priceless. And it actually has a little bit to do with this huge wave of support. It has to do with tonight's topic. In this organization, in this living organism, in this community, where we work every weekend holding retreats, where we combine master plants with psychotherapeutic transcendent integration, we actually have a method. There are some premises, there is a framework, a visionary framework to the way in which we conduct our retreats. And this framework is composed of 14 premises. This one that I'm going to speak about tonight is number 12. And it says, do not attack or defend. And I'm going to let that sink in a little bit. And I'm going to ask each one of you that's listening to make this yours, to go inside. So briefly, for a few seconds, sit up, maybe close your eyes, go inwards, connect deeply to that feeling, that sensation, that movement that is probably familiar. What moves inside of you when you feel that you're being attacked? What moves inside of you when you feel that you need to attack, to defend yourself, to defend something? Ultimately, it's always yourself that you're defending. Where does this come from? Ask yourself, connect to that. Who is attacking? Which part of you is attacking? Who is defending? Which part of you is defending? Take it one question deeper. What is being attacked and what is being defended? Connect to it. Feel it inside of you. If something comes up for you and you have the possibility, maybe you want to write it down. Make a note of it. And now I'm going to propose one last question for you to take inside. What is the goal? What is the target of attacking or defending? What is the purpose? Think about all the fights, the conflicts that you've had with yourself, with some other, your partner, your children, your boss, your friends, colleagues. Feel how you feel when that happens. What is the purpose? What is ultimately the, I would even say, perverse purpose of this constant need to attack or defend? That you may have become masterful at controlling or repressing or not projecting, but that is still nonetheless in greater or smaller measure alive inside of you. The need to keep something alive. I am going to propose very daringly that there is only one purpose for any time you defend or any time you attack or feel attacked. And the purpose is exactly to keep the conflict alive, to ensure that no matter what, no matter how much beauty, no matter how much healing, no matter how much ayahuasca, how much therapy, how much consciousness, how much meditation, no matter what, there has to be conflict. There has to be conflict. Keeping conflict alive is a way in which the ego keeps itself alive also. Because the nature of the mind is, per se, conflictive. The nature of the mind is divisive. The nature of the mind is to avoid, at all costs, fusion, merging, unity, oneness. That is the greatest threat. So, in this keeping the conflict alive, the mind ultimately keeps itself alive with a false sense of empowerment, the empowerment of the ego, where you want to be right, when you want to defend yourself, when you want to say, no, no, this is my opinion. No, no, that's all yours. No, 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 we can't be one. We have to be two. We have to be two. These two can be external or internal. Because ultimately, the conflict is always with different parts of yourself. It's always a part of yourself that you're defending. It's always a part of yourself that's attacking. It's parts of yourself that have not yet experienced unity with each other. The parts of yourselves that are still shattered, divided, under the perception that something happened to you that caused this fracture, this rupture, this division, this wounding. This wounding. I'm sure that most, if not all of us here, are very familiar with the wounds that hurt the soul, or wounds of the soul, abandonment, rejection, humiliation, betrayal. Of course, as long as there is somebody feeling wounded, there has to be somebody defending itself for that wound to happen again. It's natural. In our school, this is one of the topics that we go very, very deeply into. And it's not really a space to do more than a little spoiler here, because it's truly a very deep topic, not to be treated superficially. But one of the things that we propose in our school is that the wound was a misunderstanding. It was a perception. It was in many ways the interpretation that we made as young children, as innocent young children, of what had happened to us. And in that interpretation that we made of what happened to us, we of course created an idea also about ourselves. We receive an impact, we give a name to that impact. Let's call it rejection, for example. Let's call it abuse, for example. And then the idea that we create about ourselves is that we are rejected or rejectable, or we are vulnerable to being abused, to being humiliated, to being abandonment, because that's what happens to us, because that's what the other does to us. It creates the idea that we are vulnerable and the other one is dangerous, that we are fragile, that we are weak, and the other one is hostile. The other one is the enemy. There has to be a conflict between the victim, the fragile victim, and the perpetrator, the hostile perpetrator. And of course, we need to defend ourselves from that perpetrator. And that keeps the wound alive. So what is being defended? The wound. The part of us that felt wounded, the part of us that holds on to the idea that we were rejected, or abused, or humiliated, treated badly. Because that's the identity that we have created. That is everything that we have built our personality upon, our history. Not our soul, not the pure blankness in which we were born. No. We create a personality based upon what happened. Can you see the irony in this? Building a personality not on what's inherent from your essence, but on something that happened afterwards? So the perverse purpose of the mind in keeping the conflict alive is keeping the wound alive. And in keeping the wound alive, separation is guaranteed. Healing and transformation are very far off, very far off. The conflict is the melting pot where we live and relive constantly the perception of the wound of the history. It is the place where we constantly live and relive indignity, because we need to fight for our dignity. We need to defend our dignity. We need to attack somebody else who is a threat to our dignity. We live and relive constantly our inferiority, because we never can really win, because we always must be alert, because it can happen again. This is the mind talking. The conflict is where we keep the sense of injustice alive over and over for a whole life. The conflict keeps guilt alive. And the conflict keeps resentment alive. Guilt is the introjected conflict. I did something wrong. Boom. That's why it happened. Boom. I should have done different. I should be different. I'm not the right way. If I was the right way, it wouldn't have happened. I would have known what to do about it. I'm not even the right way because I've created a perception on the wound, on the history of something. Introjected guilt. And resentment is the same thing, but projected. Who defends itself? Guilt. What attacked? Resentment. So when you ask yourself, what part of me defends? You can also say, guilt. And when you find yourself defending, you can be honest and say, oh, I am guilt. Hi, I'm here to defend myself. Because I feel guilty for existence, for what I did, for what I did not do, for what was done to me. Hi, here, I'm guilt. Or when you find yourself attacking, and ultimately, in subtle ways, it's a little bit the same thing. When you find yourself attacking, you can be honest and say, hey, hi, I'm resentment. How are you doing today? Are you ready for tonight's fight? Come on, let's get on to this. My role today is going to be to attack. Your role today is going to be to defend. And maybe we can switch over and over just so that we keep this game alive. Just so that we can never meet. Just so that in the middle, between us, there can always be a conflict. Just so that conflict can keep us protected, alone in our little shelf, doing everything possible to not meet purely from the heart, defenseless, vulnerable, and open with one another. There is a very beautiful story that I would like to share with you. Some of you may have, and on some occasion, heard me share this story before. It's a story written by a very famous Argentinian writer. It's a very short story. Written by Jorge Luis Borges. It's a short story based on the biblical story of Cain and Abel. Well, I was going to ask, does everybody know the story of Cain and Abel? The story of Cain and Abel, shortly, they were the children of Adam and Eve, the first humans, according to the Bible, who were kicked out of paradise because they bit the apple. And as the biblical story goes, Cain was jealous of his perfect brother, who gave God the perfect gift, whereas Cain did not. And then out of jealousy, Cain killed, throwing a stone. He killed his brother Abel and then ran away for the rest of his life. And the story that Cain and Abel, that Jorge Luis Borges wrote about Cain and Abel, I'm going to read it so that I don't skip anything. This story is the story of conflict, of how conflict is kept alive. This story is the story not of Cain and Abel. It's the story of guilt and resentment. And it goes like this. One day, Abel and Cain met up after the death of Abel. They were walking through the desert, and they recognized each other from far, far away because they were both very tall. The brothers sat down on the earth. They lit a fire and they ate. They ate in silence, in the way that tired people do as the day declines. In the sky, there was some stars starting to peak, stars that had not yet received a name. Lit by the flame, Cain saw on Abel's forehead the mark of the stone. Shocked, he remembered. He dropped the piece of bread that he was about to eat, and he begged Abel to forgive him for his crime. Abel looked at him and said, Did you kill me? Or did I kill you? I can no longer remember. Yet here we are, together just as we were before. And Cain says, now I know that in truth you have forgiven me. Because to forget is to forgive. I will also try to forget. And Abel very slowly looked at his brother, sighed and said, that is so, brother. As long as there is guilt, there will be resentment. And this story struck me as particularly deep because it made me think, it made me really reflect. What if, imagine for 1 second, that the moment in which God chose Abel's present over Cain, imagine that Abel had not believed that his present was better than his brother's. Imagine if Abel had not fallen into the trap of feeling guilty because he had been better than his brother. Would Cain have been jealous? What created Cain's resentment? God's words? Or the fact that Abel too thought that he was superior because his gift was better? What is really at the core? If Abel had not felt guilty for being better than his brother, would his brother have felt such resentment that he could do nothing except attack his brother? What if we're just talking about two perceptions feeding into each other to keep the conflict of guilt and resentment alive? What if we're talking about it all being an illusion, born in the mind, kept in the mind, fed by the mind? The mind in its conflictive, divisive, outside of itself nature, creating all kinds of illusions in a desperate attempt to create some illusory space where the mind can continue living as what it is, an illusion. And now we can go back to the start, to the beginning of this class, and ask ourselves again, when I defend, who is defending? Which part of me is defending? What am I defending? Which part of me is being defended? When I am attacking, who is attacking? Which part of me is attacking? What am I attacking? What is the goal behind every impulse that I ever have to attack or defend? Is it unity? Is it healing? Is it forgiving, forgetting? Is it experiencing love? Is it raising consciousness and awareness? Is it recognizing everybody's freedom and right to be exactly how they are? If the answer to those questions is not yes, is it even possible that when I attack and defend, I am in my center, in my essence, in my soul, in my being? And if I'm not in my center, in my soul, in my heart, in my essence, in my being, then where the hell am I in the moment where I'm attacking or defending? Where am I? And if I am not there, then who is there? And if I am not there, then who is defending and attacking? There is a beautiful documentary that we created a few years ago, and I don't know if Iris has it at hand to share it on the chat. Beautiful, thank you. It's called End of the War. It's a 45-minute documentary which Iris is going to share, and which I highly recommend that you watch if you're in a space of connection, introspection, and expansion after this class. Maybe it would be a wonderful time to let it in. End of the war, that it is. I hope you enjoy it. And I don't have the answer on how to end wars. I don't have the answer on how to end conflicts. It has been said that there is no solution to the conflict. Obviously, if we try to solve a conflict from the mind, it's not from there. If we are able to, from time to time, if we're able to transcend the mind, perhaps we might find that there is no conflict to solve in the first place. That the idea of the conflict also belongs to the illusion of the mind, which feels very real at times. Very real. I would like, nonetheless, and to finish with this part of the masterclass, I would like to introduce you to a very beautiful Buddhist practice. One that I have found to be as entheogenic, as potent and powerful as ayahuasca. It has opened my heart in ways that you can live in the experience with San Pedro. It can even, and it has to me, create spaces of visionary experiences, visionary comprehensions, visionary reconciliation. It's called bodhicitta. And it has to do with breathing in, bringing into your heart negativity, so to speak, density, conflict, transmuting it with white light and breathing out love and kindness. So if you want to follow me in this practice, I am now going to propose that we take just a very few minutes. I'm not going to do the full practice because it would be another hour. But to close our eyes, go inwards, connect with your heart, and visualize your heart chakra as a metabolic energy center, which inhales energy inside clockwise, bringing it in, and exhales energy out, spiraling in the exhale. So on your inhale, imagine somebody who has shown you great kindness. It can be somebody from your family, it can be your parents, even if it was not the perfect parents, for the mere fact that they gave you life. So as you envision somebody who has shown great kindness to you, inhale in their suffering. Inhale it into your heart, and in your heart, see it transmute with white light. And on the exhale, exhale love and kindness, happiness and health for this person who has shown you this great kindness and is nonetheless suffering as the human mind will want to. On your next inhale, picture in front of you other people that you care for, your friends, extended family, colleagues, neighbors, people who belong to your private circle, but not the intimate one. And as before, inhale in their suffering, feel it transmute into white light, and exhale love, happiness, kindness, health for them. On your next inhale, widen the scope of your bodhicitta. Picture people that you cross on the street, people that you met perhaps in your past, that you didn't establish a particular connection to, good or bad, but who, as every other sentient being, is also suffering in this moment. Inhale in their suffering, spiral it into your heart, transmute it into white light, and exhale love and kindness, health and happiness. On your next inhale, picture those who have wounded you, those who hurt you, those who betrayed you, who abandoned you, those who caused the humiliation, the abuse, those who were so ignorant to sow resentment instead of planting love. Breathe in their unhappiness, breathe in their suffering. Transmute it into pure white light in your heart, and exhale love, exhale consciousness, exhale health and happiness. On your next inhale, picture all other beings who are in the worst realms of suffering, drug addicts, ill, thieves, murderers, people who have completely fallen from grace, people who have completely disconnected from the most human, pure, loving parts of themselves. Connect to their suffering. Breathe it in. Transmute it into white light. And exhale with all your pure intention, all your bodhicitta, love and kindness, wisdom for their ignorance, health and happiness. And as you hold all of humanity in this white light of purity, of innocence, of consciousness and love, repeat to yourself and include yourself in the prayer. May all beings be happy and well. May all beings experience more love and kindness and less ignorance and suffering. May all beings connect to love and kindness, and may all beings leave all sources of suffering and unhappiness. And with these words, I don't have more to say, more to share in this moment, other than thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for holding your presence. Thank you for the grain of sand that we are all contributing for there to be less conflict, less suffering, less guilt, less resentment, more love, more consciousness, more freedom. And the next time, please remember the words that Abel so wisely shared with his brother. As long as there is guilt, resentment will be alive. As long as there is resentment, guilt will be able to feed itself and perpetuate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laura, for this deep, inspiring space that has been created through you and through what you shared. I would love to invite for questions. If anyone feels like asking something or sharing something that came to them through this masterclass, you can raise your hand. If you don't know how to do it, on the bottom of the screen, there's a possibility to have a reaction. And when you click on that button, you can raise your hand, and then I can give you the right to speak with your microphone. There's a question in the chat. 2 questions by Leon Hart. The first question is, did a master defend itself against statements of the recent Guardian article?
Did you read the article that I wrote?
So, Leon, the answer is yes. There was a statement that we shared within all the groups, and it was also published in the social media. If you haven't read it, we can send it to you. I don't know if I can quickly find it. Otherwise, I would propose to you, Leon, that to read that article, you can contact with your advisor, your contact who gave you the access to this meeting, and we can send it to you directly.
I might be able to find it.
And Leon had another question. When was the last time that you drank a normal dose of ayahuasca?
Well, actually, I wanted to answer the first question.
Sure.
The answer would be that, in my perspective, no, we didn't defend ourselves. We presented ourselves. We showed up. With transparency, with humbleness, simply sharing ourselves and letting ourselves be seen, be known. In any case, I mean, the article spoke about Alberto. I am not Alberto. So in that sense, I neither feel that I have to defend myself or him. I mean, coincidentally, I did write. I was the one who wrote the article, the statement after the Guardian. So that's why I'm talking in first person. I did feel it was a very like there was a great synchronicity opening up in that moment, and an opportunity to introduce ourselves as beyond a name or a person, simply to show ourselves in the way that a lot of people who have come to our retreats already know us in that way. And at least for me, it was a beautiful experience to write it. And then the question was, when was the last time that I drank a full dose of ayahuasca? Well, I'm really wondering what a full dose would be for each person, because a full dose for me is not the same as a full dose for Tim, for example, just because I'm seeing your name here, Tim. The last time I drank a full dose of ayahuasca.
Well, to clarify, it says normal dose, but let's go with a full dose because in the end, that's, I think, what is being referred to.
A normal dose of ayahuasca, I would say possibly about a year ago.
Maybe in the Darwin retreat.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that counts as normal, but yes. I don't think
a significant amount
around that retreat counts as normal, but yes.
A significant amount.
A significant amount.
So that would have been May, right?
May.
Okay. The next question posted by Anna Chiara. What is the purpose of resisting his own existence for the ego if in the end there's only unity?
What is the purpose of resisting its own existence? I mean, I love to talk about the ego, so well, actually, those who know me know that I love to talk about the ego and the mind, and I find it extremely difficult to talk about the being and the self. So I try to avoid it at all costs, because I have a feeling that the ego talks a lot, and the being does not talk at all. But the being talks through you in a way that when it happens, it touches everybody in a certain way. I mean, the mind or the ego is just as innocent as anything else in the world. It's ignorance. It doesn't know that it's interfering with your potential or with your beauty or with your essence shining through. The ego doesn't know. It's not that. I mean, its only purpose is to exist, to survive, to create an illusion about itself that allows for it to at least grasp onto some form of existence.
Thank you. Another question by Tonji. Can you elaborate on the difference between defending and presenting oneself? Is it about the attitude and consciousness?
Don't you? I think it's a very personal question in the sense that it doesn't have to do with the how or the what. It doesn't have to do with an external manifestation. It has to do with what moves inside. And the only person who can know what moves inside is you. I mean, only I can know what moves inside of me when something happens. I mean, I know very well when I'm reacting because I'm feeling attacked or when I'm defending because I'm feeling attacked. I can't lie to myself and say, oh no, I'm just responding when I'm like, my aura is like thunder and dead faces and, those cartoon-like grrr faces, which is how I picture myself when I'm angry, like fumes and fumes.
Yeah, me too. When you're angry, I see you like this.
When I'm angry, you see me, I can actually feel the steam coming out of my
Steam
ears.
coming out of your ears, exactly. Yeah.
And
And
I get
little like
a lot, so I know.
yeah, fire in around your head. Yes.
Darts coming out of my eyes, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Are there any more questions? Would somebody like to share what has moved in them? Well, you can consider if you want to ask anything else. I want to again thank Laura for this beautiful moment we've shared. The recording will be available in a couple of days. It will be sent in the chats and also available on YouTube in case you want to share this with somebody that you love because you received something beautiful this evening. We have masterclasses every 2 weeks, and so please join us again if you've enjoyed this. And then I'm not sure. There's a couple more things coming up in the chat. Jasmine really enjoyed the meditation. Thank you, love. Christina shares, I think that we live in an endless pool of possibilities, so why not? And a lot of thanks in the chat. Yes.
Thank you. I have asked Iris if she wants to share my Instagram account or my phone number also, if anybody wants to stay in touch with me through that way. On my Instagram, I post sometimes reels about these masterclasses, shorts, extras, also
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to share your Instagram.
videos on some magic that happens on some retreats, which are beautiful. I will be myself in the upcoming retreat in November in Switzerland, 20 to 23rd of November.
Yes.
And I'm really looking forward to that retreat. I cannot explain how excited I am to go back to Switzerland again. I hadn't been there in a year and I went 2 weeks ago, and now I only want to go and go all the time. So if anybody is contemplating going, I will be there, even though I said I wouldn't be there because I changed my mind basically. And I would love to meet in person there. And also the YouTube channel where you can also find our previous master classes.
Yes, I have just shared the link to the YouTube channel. I've shared your phone number and I have shared your Instagram. So if you would like to reach out, feel free.
And the bodhicitta meditation is, I would say it's one of the, let's call it ritual or medicine. Let's call it medicine. It's one of the medicines that has had a deepest impact in my life in one very particular moment where I was suffering a lot and feeling a lot of guilt and a lot of resentment and very, very trapped in a pattern where I knew all the theory, but it wasn't happening. And through constant practice, I mean, I was quite a traditional Tibetan Buddhist student in that time, so there was a lot of practices. But through constant practice of it, it really happened. It really happened. It was the closest experience to ayahuasca before I had ayahuasca.
Yeah, it's very powerful. There's somebody, Vania from Brazil, that has a question that I would love for you to answer, Laura. She says, "Thank you very much, Laura and Iris. I wonder if it's normal to feel a bit weak after the exercise we did. In the last part, I felt as if lots of energy was taken from me, and I'm feeling a little bit bad." Hi from Brazil.
Hi, Vanya. I mean, whatever I share is my personal perspective. So take it as, with a grain of salt. I don't particularly believe that energy can be taken away from you unless you're not in your center. And with this, I don't mean that energetically we're not affected by things, but the practice of bodhicitta is a practice of opening the heart. Yes. And it's interesting that you say that you feel weak when perhaps what has happened is that you feel in your heart when your heart is opening. And feeling weak might also be a perception of what happens when you open your heart, which is that you become weak. But that is also an illusion, because I believe that the more you're in your heart, the stronger you are. And, I mean, the practice of bodhicitta is ancient, ancestral, but there are many modern day practices that are very similar, like Ho'oponopono or Course of Miracles, Course of Forgiveness. And yes, if we have learned to close our hearts in order to protect ourselves, to defend ourselves, of course, finding yourself in a space where that mechanism is not active can make you feel weak. but in reality, you're open. It's very different. And being open doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be hurt again because you're weak. There's also a few articles that I wrote some years ago about the opening of the heart and the expansion of consciousness that maybe if you write to me, Vanya, or you can reach out to me on the phone or that Iris has shared or Instagram, I'll share a few articles with you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Laura. So then we're going to close here. Thank you everybody for being here, for sharing the space with us. Remember that Laura shared with you we shared with you the video of the end of the war. If you feel inspired to continue deepening, this will be a beautiful possibility to go deep with this with this video, with this documentary. We're going to share it again for those who joined us later.
Ooh.
So thank you, everyone, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Hope to see you soon, those who I know. Hope to meet you, those who I don't know. Wherever, whenever. Charlotte, Carlo, bye. Tonchi, bye-bye. Maria, bye-bye. Ciao, Luisa.